Welcome back to another edition of the RTF Show post-auction review. I'm here with Brother John. Brother John, say hello.
Hello.
All right. And we got a special guest here today, the reigning champ. It's been a good year for this man. He had a league championship, an NBA championship to celebrate.
Birth of a child.
Aaron Rodgers came back. It's all coming up. Peter Kramer. Hello.
Let's hope the Brewers can close it out. Let's hope they can close it out this year.
Well, it is great to have you both here. We are going to jump right into it. I am raring to go. I'm wearing my Zidane jersey because I am ready to butt heads with you motherfuckers. So let's do it.
Let's give them what they want.
That's right. Give the people what they want. So before we're going to do a couple things today. So we're going to go through the auction and we'll go team by team, spend some time on each team, talk about the best value we think they got, worst value we think they got, and potential breakout pick that they may have had for each team. But before we jump into that, couple things I wanted to remind everybody about and chat about. First, new workbooks should come out soon, post-draft workbooks. We'll incorporate the trades and hopefully some of the free agent signings that have happened. And I'll try to be good about updating these throughout the season and putting them up on the drive. This year is going to be a big year, especially for the contracts, because we're coming up on our first restricted free agency season after this season. One other reminder, the auction, free agent auction, you must bid at least $1 in order to pick up a player. If you do not bid $1, I will go back in and assess you $1, and I'll also be extremely annoyed. So please bid $1. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, we do have 2 IR spots. We shaved down the COVID spots, correct, Joe?
Yeah, we took those out.
Yes, so we don't have the 10 IR spots anymore. It's just 2. I know that people are still, unfortunately, getting the COVID designation. I think the plan going forward, unless this really spirals out of control, in which case maybe we'll add a couple slots, but the plan going forward for now is just those 2 IR spots. Utilize those. You can put COVID players in there, or anybody that's designated as out or on IR on Yahoo.
Yeah, it follows the Yahoo rules.
Yes.
So if they're suspended, I don't think you can't add them to your IR. But if they are on either short-term or the long-term IR, they can go in there. So
yeah. The other thing that's been going on, before we get to some of the internal news from our league, there's been some some injuries, some cuts that have happened. Noah Fant still out, not practicing. Irv Smith, as you saw, rest in peace, Irv. News came across the wire this morning. He is out 4 to 5 months. Essentially, his season is over, which is devastating for the Staleys. What are any other big ones that I'm leaving out here? I feel like
there's a JK. I think you got JK Dobbins is done for the season.
We haven't recorded since then. Yes, JK Dobbins is out.
Who has his backup?
That would be me. So that was great.
The Staleys. So you get a little give and take there. Irv Smith goes down, but then you get a potential RB1.
Yeah, but I'm stacked at running back, as we'll see when we go over my team. So I could really use a tight end.
There's quite a few teams with 3 tight ends on the roster. So
yeah, we'll get to that as well.
Yeah, yes, we will.
a few other things. A couple guys that didn't make the cut on their team. So John Brown got released by the Raiders, which it sounds like maybe he asked to be released, which I thought was a bit surprising. Kiki Cutie, I believe, was cut, and then I think signed today by the Colts. So
following T.Y. Hilton, T.Y. Hilton's gonna be out
Yes.
for the first 3 games.
Yeah,
Another big one. Tariq Cohen will be missing the first 6 games. So whoever
Tariq
has
Cohen is out.
Montgomery, that's good for them. And then we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Minshew Mania heading to Philly, and
wild.
probably going to be taking over the Jalen Hurts starting spot. I mean,
I do not think that's going to be happening.
Don't trade a 6th round pick unless you're trading for a starting quarterback.
exactly.
In other big quarterback news, the Mac Jones era has begun in New England, which I'm sure the New England folks in this league are pretty excited about. Cam Newton has hit the waiver wires, and it doesn't look like anybody's going to sign him. I don't know if you guys have seen anything different, but it looks like
no.
He sounds like he's anti-vax too. I think you're going to see a little bit more of that, like especially these close contacts. The COVID designation. You're going to find out who is anti-vax real quick, because if they get that COVID designation, they for sure are at this point.
Well, yeah, like vaccinated players, I believe all they have to do is have 2 negative tests with 24 hours apart from each other, and then they can be then the designation's gone. But if you're unvaccinated, it's 5 days, mandatory 5 days. So if we're seeing people coming back after 2 days, then we know they're vaccinated. But if it is a full 5 days, then at least full 5 days, then it's going to be likely unvaccinated. I mean, CeeDee Lamb was on the COVID designation for a long time, and slightly concerned about that. But
Carson Wentz got questions today about it. He basically got called out for being anti-vax, and then it was just like, it's personal choice, all that different stuff, and it's just like, that's going to be rocky during the regular season.
Not going to be fun. And I thought it was interesting. Peter and I had texted about this. So Urban Meyers just came out and said, yeah, of course we considered vaccination status, when cutting down our roster. And then Bill Belichick came out and said, no, we, releasing Cam, at least his vaccination stance was not a factor, which
but you can't.
I had a hard time to believe.
Belichick says.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into the league now. A few big, obviously the J.K. Dobbins goes down, which opens up some room in that Baltimore backfield. Gus Edwards, who again is on the Staleys, but then Tyson Williams, who Fitz grabbed for $11, which I thought was a great move for considering he had to be sure to get him. What did you guys think? That was about right? Fair? Too much?
I don't think it was too much. I think, when looking at, Peter brought up in the group chat, Josh bid 6, Kelly bid 5. I think going out and putting up 10% of your fab there makes sense if you want to potentially get the RB2 there. And then, I don't know Gus Edwards' injury history though. So if either one of you could speak to that.
I think Gus Edwards has been pretty healthy throughout his career.
But I mean, I feel like they've also always played a little bit of a committee, so you might be able to get some good value out of Tyson Williams.
Yeah,
Peter?
possibly.
It's worth it to me to, I debated it even too in that range, just because $11 is whatever. If he hits a home run on this person, like say Gus goes down and they go all in on Tyson Williams, you just don't know. Like Todd Gurley has been having conversations with him. There was one day this week where he was a big pickup on the waiver wire just for having conversations with the Ravens. Like, everybody's trying to get that extra leg up. Like, hey, can I pick up a player a day before that person? And so I thought it was pretty good, because if the person starts getting 15, 20 carries, like, who knows,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you got to wonder also there, like with Lamar Jackson, if he goes on, into COVID protocol and misses a game, but they're still able to play. I mean, they're going to lean a lot more on their running backs in that situation. So you could get at least one game of good value out of there. So
yeah, they're going to have to. I cannot recall the name of their backup quarterbacks, which
I just
probably
looked it
not
up.
a good sign for Baltimore.
Tyler Huntley.
Tyler Huntley, which it seems like a area that maybe Baltimore should have shored up a bit more. But
and to be honest, that's the only other quarterback on the roster at the moment.
No, I think they got one, but they probably have a practice squad quarterback that because they had another guy that was playing in the preseason as well. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, the other big thing that happened in the league, there was a huge trade. Travis Kelce went to the Bumbleros Revenge, and the Web Surfers, Josh's team, took back A.J. Brown, Justin Herbert, traded away a couple quarterbacks as well. The Juwan Howard or Juwan Johnson went as well. Sorry, not Juwan Howard. Juwan Johnson, who I don't know, I think might be a little bit of a,
we'll talk about him later for sure.
Yeah. Breakout.
Yep.
But I was especially frustrated by this trade because I did discuss Travis Kelce with Josh right before this went down, and we were looking at trading possibly one of my receivers for Kelce and Jalen Hurts, and I was not likely to do that, but of course, as soon as this trade went down, it was about an hour and a half later that the Irv Smith news broke, and I was devastated.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What are you guys' reactions to this trade? Fair, unfair? What do you think?
Go ahead, Peter.
I said it's one of the rare win-wins, in all honesty. I'll talk about it a lot probably throughout this episode, but I really like Josh's team a lot. And this, like the holes that he had, I think he filled it. Mike, I'm going to say that I think you should have kept Justin Herbert. I think he's going to be really good. And I think getting A.J. Brown has boom potential with Julio there. Josh's team is my pick. I think just after this trade, I was just like, shit. And I was having conversations with him about his two tight ends because I was getting pissed with him during the auction. I'm like, dude, you have Kelce already. And I was bidding for Pitts against him. I'm like, what is he doing? And $20 was a little too steep with my $50 budget. But I think Kyle Pitts will be good because you don't draft the guy 4th overall as a tight end unless you're going to throw him the ball a ton. So I just think Josh's team does really well. And I think this also does a great job for Brendo's team. I think him getting Travis Kelce, it's a top tight end. And then he just has to flip those two decide which quarterback he picks, but the rest of his team is super solid. So I thought it was a pretty good win-win.
I definitely agree with that. I think both came out ahead here. I don't like having Kelce in my division now, and also having Waller in my division. I think that's tough. And Waller's going to be in my division for the next 3 years, so that sucks. But overall, yeah, I think both teams improved really well, and I like Juwan Johnson a lot. And so to have him behind Pitts, that's just another actually valuable trade piece that Josh could use in the next few weeks if Juwan Johnson shows any potential. So
All right. Well, let's dive into the next segment here. We're going to go through an auction review and go team by team. And I'm sure some of these players will come up again. So let's start with the guy that complained the most about the lack of coverage for his team on our last show. And that is Thoughts and Prayers, Ken Hoffman's team.
AKA Portugal to Ken.
Yeah.
Portugal to Ken.
Out there scouting, backup running backs. Ken kept 3 wide receivers, DK Metcalf, Robert Woods, and Calvin Ridley. I'll let Peter go first here. Peter, why don't you give us, let's start, you know what, fuck Ken. Let's start with the bad. So why don't you give us what you think is the worst value that he may have gotten here?
I'm only saying this because I don't know who this person was till he actually took them, and I feel like I'm pretty knowledgeable stuff. I put Michael Carter at 14 because that could blow up. This could blow up in my face. Ken could send me a text with this video saying you're an idiot. I just don't know who that was. I know he was like a 4th round pick and he could be really good. And like the Jets are an unknown place, but I thought at $14 for somebody I don't know, I was like, I could be wrong. I don't have any idea who this person is though.
No, I'm there with you. Yeah, because I picked up Ty Johnson, the RB2 on the Jets, where Michael Carter right now is the RB3. And I mean, all reports in camp so far is Michael Carter's looked the worst out of Coleman, Johnson, and Carter. But that's, it's also, he could end up overtaking that role. But I also highlighted him as 14 is pretty steep for a 3rd string running back that, will he see more than 5 touches in the first 6-7 games? Unlikely, unless Coleman goes down or Johnson goes down. So I thought that was a little steep. And then also with AJ Dillon, $10 was a little steep for that. But he's going to get goal line carries, so you could flex him. But I don't know why he would ever flex him with the 3 keepers that he kept.
So I have a slightly different take. The Michael Carter thing, he paid too much for him, but it doesn't bother me quite as much. He's a rookie running back. The presumption is he's gonna get his time at some point on a team that doesn't have very good running backs. But I actually like the AJ Dillon one, right? So you get a guy that. By all accounts, is going to be, is kind of the heir apparent to the running back throne in Green Bay. He's got massive thighs, and you get him for $10 and hope, the hope here is you can keep him basically for the minimum, and he becomes a 3-year keeper at running back. I didn't mind it. I thought it was
Aaron Jones just signed a 4-year deal though. Sure they might.
Oh, did he?
Maybe they. Yeah, because I had AJ Dillon. I picked him up late last year, like at the very end of the regular season, for the sole reason that Aaron Jones was likely to leave because Green Bay Packers never pay a premium for their running backs, or a lot of positions they'll let walk rather than pay, especially if that player is approaching the end of their prime. Or could approach the end of their prime at the end of the contract, right? But then they signed Aaron Jones to. Peter might know more specifically that.
Was it 4 years? I didn't realize they signed for 4 years.
Yeah, 4-year contract. But they use him in the slot, so I don't mind the AJ Dillon pick. I think it's a good compliment to Mike Smith, right? Is it Smith the running back?
Who?
His Atlanta running back. Is that Mike Smith?
Oh, Mike Davis.
Mike Davis.
Yeah, Mike Davis. I actually kind of like Mike Davis,
Mixon.
and I think Joe Mixon is boomer bust. So I think AJ Dillon has the opportunity, and Aaron Jones, he's a little guy. If he gets hit, AJ Dillon takes over the rock. So I think $10 is a good worth Like, you know, it's even like the $11, like you talk about it, like $10 for a potential boom pick is big. And that's why, like, even Michael Carter could blow up, and then you're keeping him at 3 years, you know, and it could, you know, so like in a lot of cases it's worth it. It's just for me, I didn't know him. So if he nails this one out of the park, I'm going to be kicking myself because I'm like, I didn't know who that person was. You know,
Yeah,
that's going to be a big miss.
And here we are, like, and I think the biggest thing to remember, and so Ken doesn't fucking crawl up our asses after he listens to this, is like we're discussing his, you know, RB3, RB4, RB5 on his roster. We're not criticizing, you know, his starting roster. You know, I think the Mike Davis pick was great. You know, I thought, the value, you know, going into the next sort of spot here, I think that Mike Davis for $19 is a great value. And then, you know, Joe Mixon at 38 was fine. Like that's
I mean,
market price right there. So
I think Mike Davis at 19 is market price too. I mean, I think that's about what I don't know. I don't think those are great value. I don't think they're bad values. I think they're probably what they should go for. Yeah,
for sure. And I could see Atlanta bringing in a running back before the season starts. For sure. You know, there's a lot of players out there. I mean, obviously Gurley's still out there. You've got players like Latavius Murray that are rumors to be traded there. But yeah, I think that $19 is pretty good value.
So who did you like? Was that who you liked? Was that your best value?
I also liked Marvin Jones at $3. I thought that was pretty good. I think there's a lot of potential there. But overall, I mean, obviously Michael Thomas, if he comes back and plays, getting him for $6 is really good. But he's going to be out at least 6 games. So
yeah. Peter, what did you think? Anyone?
I thought Devonta Smith at $5. It's somebody that I wanted. This is a prediction, so hot take here. I don't know if you would call it a hot take, but like, you know, Ken's got the best receiving core in the league, and then if his running backs hit, like if Mixon runs like he did 2 years ago, and Davis becomes a guy, you know, like the guy in Atlanta and takes over, which I think he might. Like Ken's gonna have a very good team. I think he's going to have issues where he's like good. Like I think Devonta Smith's going to get a lot of catches in the PPR format. And I just think he's going to have to decide on wide receivers at the end of the year because, you know, Smith has a very cheap contract and he's got 3 really good wideouts. So that's my prediction for the season. I like his wideout situation immensely.
Agreed.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I like the Devonta Smith. That was one that I circled as well.
Yep. He was my breakout candidate on his roster, which makes it really hard for Ken. I mean, you know, in all reality, you can't sit Bobby Trees or Ridley or DK. So what do you do with Devonta if he's putting up?
I mean, he's
putting up 100 yards and you know a touchdown a game. Like, what do you do?
You hold on to him because you paid $5 for him, and this is a contract league, and you sign him to a contract next year.
No, I know, but I guess more so like, you know, let's say Bobby Trees is like underperforming a little bit, but would you really have the
you trade
stones to sit, you know, or trade,
or you trade, somebody and
Ken, I'll give you $3 draft dollars right now for him.
I also like the Elijah Moore.
Okay, I'm cutting it off at Elijah Moore. We're done with Elijah Moore. We've gone through literally every player on Ken's roster for the most part. We've spent 10 minutes on him. Ken's got it. We've fluffed Ken enough. We can move on.
All right, let's move on.
All right, it's time for the Alpha Peter. Last year's reigning champ, special guest here on this show. John, you can go first, John. Go for it.
All right. We're going to mix it up here. I'm going to start with the good value, which I don't think that there was, I mean, he only had $50. And so there wasn't much you could do. But the one player that I did highlight was the Jalen Waddle for $5. I mean, it's obviously like we were just talking about, if it pans out, looks like genius. If it doesn't, no harm, no foul at that point, with his current situation with Jefferson and Diggs as his long-term wide receiver core. So I just thought that, he went out and got a good upside guy that potentially, if it goes well with Tua, then he could have a very cheap contract for the next 3 years. So.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the one that I liked, I thought Damian Harris at $11 was a pretty good value. I know that New England running backs generally haven't, although, James White has had some value. And I think he'll continue to have value because from what it looks like is James White is going to continue to be the third down back. But Damian Harris is going to have that starting role for the most part, and he's going to get the most carries on that team. So I thought that $11 there was good value for a backup running back.
It seemed like the right value, though. I mean, it doesn't seem like, he didn't get a steal. I thought $11 was about right there for what you get out of him. But he's also my breakout candidate too, Damian Harris. So I think if he hits, then league look out.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. But yes, the Jalen Waddle one I liked. I mean, the hard thing about Peter's team is he signed half his team before the auction, so it's hard to find good auction value. Was there somebody? And then Peter will let you kind of rebut after this. But John, was there a bad value that you saw?
Yeah. There was a situation here that I thought was pretty perplexing. Peter is one of the multiple people that signed 3 tight ends, and he ended up paying $17 for all 3 tight ends, which looking at that, Noah Fant I think Noah Fant will be the guy that he ends up starting all season. Dallas Goedert's, for whatever reason, still competing for the job with Zach fucking Ertz, who should have been cut 2 years ago. But anyway, for $17, you could have got someone like Logan Thomas or Tyler Higbee. You were saying you were trying to bid for Pitts, and it kind of just got out of your price range. But putting that $17 towards either a single better tight end or, elsewhere might have been a better move in terms of value. So, but I don't think, Noah for 9 and Goddard for 7. I think that both are right on the money there. I just don't know if you need both.
I mean, that's the same thing that I identified. I thought that the $17 spent on 3 tight ends was mind-boggling. And so we'll give you a second to explain that, Peter. The only other one that I don't hate it, but I didn't love it, is the and it's probably Corey Davis for $7.
Oh my God,
that's fair.
Thank you, Michael. I was just about to bring that up. I hate him.
Yeah, it's probably fair. It's probably about what you should pay for Corey Davis, but I just can't stand Corey Davis. All right, Peter, give us your tight end strategy going into the draft. Let's hear it.
Okay, to speed things up, I only had $50. I was gonna go all in on Kittle and Kelsey. Obviously, that didn't happen. Darren Waller is also one of the best keepers in the league. I'm gonna speed through this so we get going.
Okay.
But after I got Noah Fant, I was like, okay, I got to start a tight end. And part of the reason why I picked up Dallas was, if you guys remember, he helped win a championship for the Alpha Peter, and he was part of the team. So this was a team camaraderie pick, as I'm not fully confident in my tight end 1 situation. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to just, quantity over quality at this point, because once you get outside like the top 4 or 5 tight ends, you're just like, draft as many as possible. I tried to get your boy Mike Irv Smith. I was gonna have him as my 3rd tight end because I think he'll be doing well. And then to end me,
a lot more than I thought it would.
To end me completely, for my picks for best value, I picked Damian Harris. For worst value, I picked Damian Harris, and for breakout player, I picked Damian Harris. I don't know if it was worth $11 because, like, usually what happens is some fourth string running back for the Patriots ends up getting 700 yards and 5 touchdowns and like throws everything off. So it could be the worst pick, could be the best pick. I don't know. Cam Newton not being there, I might get some goal line carries, but I don't, it was a boom or bust pick. And I was like, oh, $11. Cool. I'll take them. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, no, I like it. I think it's a good pick. I think, it could blow up in your face, but also could be.
I just realized you guys can't see the thing that I created. This thing, can I? Or can you?
Now I can. I don't know if I could before, but I was using a different. I was using my own spreadsheet, so I didn't notice.
You guys got to let me know these things. The production value of our YouTube show is what keeps this podcast going.
We could start over and limit Ken's section to 2 minutes.
No, Ken needs all the time. I love.
Great idea. All right, let's move on. Next team on the list, Kelly's team, absolute fiasco. Absolute fiasco kept Dalvin Cook and TJ Hawkinson. So in terms of, we should try to pick up the pace a little bit.
Yeah, do all three and let's just go through and let's.
Yeah, we're gonna run over. So for my best pick, I actually said James Conner for $4. I actually think that's a pretty good price for a guy who's been a lead back and who I think is going to get carries in Arizona and get some work in Arizona. I mean, granted, you have to deal with his injury inconsistency, but I think that's an issue. And then for worst value, I put John's boy, Younghoe Koo, who I cannot justify spending $4 on a fucking kicker ever. So I think that's just unjustifiable. And for breakout pick, I'll give you, I think I'm going to go with my boy Deebo Samuel. I think Deebo, has it in him to have a pretty good year. John, what are you looking at?
I mean, first of all, Younghoe Koo put up RB2 numbers last year. He put up RB2 numbers last year as a kicker. Okay, like that's great value. He's probably going to score more points than James Conner will this season. So
sure. Okay.
As far as great value, I thought she was pretty right on the money in general. I do like the Trevor Lawrence pick as a potential keeper long term for a minimum deal. I thought that was great. And then with how terrible Jamar Chase has looked all preseason, I think Tyler Boyd is in line for a fairly good season. And at $12, he could be a good value. He's also my potential breakout candidate. I thought Ronald Jones at $10 was probably the worst value there. I mean, with the way Bruce Arians uses running backs, similar to Bill Belichick, I don't think that's gonna pan out there for $10. And I'm pretty sure she had him last year, and it was miserable. So, yeah. Also, I did note like Robbie Anderson could have a breakout season.
Robbie had a big year as well. I mean, he had his breakout season last year.
He's worked with Sam Darnold before, and so they paid him, and I think he'll get force-fed the ball there, and so he'll be the number 2 option behind CMC.
All right, Peter, what do you think?
Best value, Robbie Anderson at $9. I think he's awesome, and he just got a contract extension that pays him top receiver money, so they're not going to waste that. And then worst value, I said Daniel Jones at $1 because he just sucks. He just sucks. So waste of $1. Like, I know that's nothing, but Daniel Jones sucks. Like, he really sucks. And then breakout star, James Conner from the Arizona Cardinals.
Do you think
There
he'll
you go.
take over Chase Edmonds?
I don't know. I just think for the price that you paid for that, and
Yeah.
you know, the running back situation, anything can happen. And I think to piggyback on what Mike said, he's got starter experience. Like, you know, he was the shit in Pittsburgh. So I think that has breakout star potential. And Tyler Boyd, I thought was pretty sweet, but I think he's awesome. It just depends how that Bengals teams operate. The Bengals teams operate.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Mike talked me out of keeping Tyler Boyd.
Glad it did. So, all right, let's move
You know,
on.
11th and 12th seed giving advice to each other is very much blind leading the blind here. Okay,
Yeah.
like
I'm not bitter. It's fine. I'm not bitter.
Oh boy. All right. Next team we are gonna cover the Hollow Earthers, who I thought had a real up and down draft. Our auction, I should say. The Hollow Earthers kept Josh Allen, Jarvis Landry, Jerry Jeudy, and Adam Thielen. So, you know, 3 receivers, a good receiving core. I think a somewhat good receiving core, not the best, but then went out and got 2 more high-priced wide receivers in Mike Evans and Chase Claypool. So I guess, I guess I'll go first since I'm already talking.
Yep.
I thought wasting money, not that the Chase Claypool was a bad value. I thought it's a fine value.
Yeah,
Chase
seems
Claypool.
about right.
But I thought it was a bit of a waste of money to then use that $15 on another wide receiver and then turn around and pay $25 for Chase Edmonds, who's a player I really like and who I have some stock in other leagues. But $25 for Chase Edmonds, essentially making him your running back 1. When you could have taken some of that cash from Chase Claypool, put it towards a much better, much more expensive RB1, I thought was a mistake. So that was, kind of my bad value. The good value, or the good value, I guess. I thought the Mike Evans price was fine. I thought the Mark Andrews price was pretty spot on as well. And then I guess breakout star. Maybe Mike Gesicki. I think Myles Gaskin could also end up having a much better year than the $19 for an RB2 type running back could look. So I'd say one of those 2 guys. Peter?
For me on this one, I said my best value was Gaskins. I like Gaskins a lot. And Edmonds with a question mark was my worst value. And my notes basically said for breakout star, I said like Bill's team is stacked everywhere but running back. So like it's boom or bust. Like if any of those guys goes down, he's got Mark Ingram in the wing. Like,
yeah, and
I think who knows who will come out of that Houston area. But I was like, his roster is very, very strong. Like, Deshaun Watson is a grade A piece of shit, but he's a very talented quarterback. So from a standpoint of like, who knows how this thing shakes out with his legal stuff in a year. Like I thought his backups, his starters and backups everywhere except for the running back spot are sure things in my opinion. So I think Gaskins, it's that RB2 spot that worries me a little bit, because who knows if Edmonds will be the guy, will James Conner be the guy? And if you know who the backup is to your running back, that's when they don't have a A1 starter,
Yep. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm there with you with his his wide receiver picks. And then also, yeah, my big thing was Chase Edmonds at 25 and Myles Gaskin at 19. I don't know if that's where you want to be putting your money. And if, yeah, like you said, you could take Chase Claypool's money and put him elsewhere. But I mean, right now you could flip Mike Evans for a good RB2 at this point and feel pretty strong at wide receiver and at running back at this point. My breakout candidate was Mike Gesicki as well. Him and Tua had a great relationship last year, and I could see him getting 10 to 15 targets a game at this point.
Mhm.
My other bad value was Harrison Butker at $5. I don't
No
know why
way.
you spend a
No
kicker
way.
at $5. But best value by far, I think, is Mike Andrews. He's been the tight end 4 or better for the last, I think, 3 or 4 years. And so for $23, that's, I think, money well spent.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't mention Butker is because I had already gone on my kicker for more than $1 rant, so I didn't want to go on it twice. But yeah. All right, let's move along. We are looking at football and stuff. Oh boy. So
I think it's got to be said first.
I'm just gonna
he
say
left
it.
the draft with $31.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it because I think there's a chance Charlie's not listening. But I would say this to him anyway.
It's a non-zero, that's for sure.
This was a rough draft. You know, to leave it with $31, to come out of the draft with, I mean, I guess his starting running backs are Raheem Mostert, who, okay. I mean, San Francisco is the most crowded backfield in the league.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You start Melvin
Gordon,
or
yeah.
do you start Jamal Williams and pray that, you know, Swift basically doesn't come back from this injury that he's got lingering? I don't really know what you do. It's a bit perplexing. It's also, you know, he's another team that drafted 3 tight ends. He's got 2 defenses.
I think
he's got 3 quarterbacks. Yes, he's got 3 quarterbacks. So I don't know where to begin with good value or bad value. I'm going to leave it to you guys. That's my take.
Yeah, I'll say, I mean, right off the bat, I think paying $10 for Tom Brady after you signed Aaron Rodgers, you know, reigning MVP, I think $17 is good value. I mean, he's got this like revenge mindset at this point, last dance mindset. There's really no reason to sign another quarterback, let alone 2 other quarterbacks. So paying $10 for Tom Brady is, I mean, it's good value, I think, but you can only start 1 quarterback. So, you know, I guess trade bait, but I don't know what you're going to get for a quarterback in trades. So that's rough. But as far as like good value in breakout candidates, I highlighted Brandon Cooks and Kenny Galladay. If either of those players end up in that fringe, you know, that 12 to 15 range, in terms of wide receivers, which is totally possible for both those players, pairing that with Davante Adams, I think you're looking at a pretty decent, outside of maybe Ken's team, the best wide receiver duo.
I mean, I guess I'll just ask one question. Who are the quarterbacks that are throwing those 2 people the football?
It's not great. Yeah. That's, you know.
Okay. I mean, Houston by all accounts, from what I've heard and read, has the least talented roster in football. Maybe, you know, in quite some time. Like, it sounds like they're rivaling the that Detroit Lions team that went 0-16. So I just don't. I don't know what you do with that unless Deshaun Watson is actually able to play, which doesn't seem like he will be. Peter, what do you think?
I said Braden Cooks at 8 was a really good pick because they've got to throw the ball to somebody. And then of the least value and least value to everybody except Bill, Buffalo at 5. I know that's cheap for how Bill spends his money on defenses, just because it's a pricey pick. When it comes to Charlie's team, I don't always get it all the time, but the dude's a playoff caliber coach. He's made the playoffs 1 for 1, making the playoffs, and there's a lot of people in our league that just don't make the playoffs, and it's tough on those people. And
Peter,
they get really sad. They get sad, and they're the co-commissioners of the league potentially, and there's 2 of them, and they take 11th and 12th place, and it's just sad. It's just a sad situation.
Yeah, indeed. I appreciate you, sticking up for your fellow Packer. All right, let's move along here. The Barracudas. So Steve, another team that left the draft with a lot of money. I mean, there's a lot of these teams that left the draft, and I'm included. I was embarrassed and kind of very upset with myself that I left the draft with $9. From every, it's really, I really think it's, best to try to spend all that. So for Steve to leave with 26 surprised me quite a bit.
Because I felt like he had a really strong draft last year, and so to leave 26 on the board was surprising.
To be fair, he's watching his kid.
To be fair,
which I'd like to point out, my actually favorite pick of his that was that Julio Jones pick.
Same.
Same.
I thought that was value.
Best value right there.
Yeah, I know he didn't love, and it, I know happened on auto when he was away from the auction, but
It was great.
I thought that was his best pick.
Yeah, I totally agree there. I mean, if AJ Brown, who has a history of injury and missing games, Julio Jones can get force fed, and $14 for a potentially, in that 10 to 14 range, I guess I would peg him at. It's gonna be great.
Yep.
Other value, I thought Marcus Brown and Aaron Jones were good values there. So
I thought so too. Peter, go ahead, give yours. Give them all for us.
Julio fucking Jones is still Julio Jones. And, that guy with a little bit of a limp is still better than most receivers in the league. And I think he's ready to prove himself. And then I said worst value was good old Giovanni Bernard. That was mine.
The stash.
But I don't know. It's just a crowded space down there. Like, it's Fortinet, it's Rollins. Like, they probably have the best, if you were to look at, running backs from top to bottom, I bet they average out pretty well.
Yeah, from a football standpoint, but not from a fantasy.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say about, so the problem with Giovanni Bernard, right, is he is what he is. He's going to get the same usage pretty much in Tampa Bay that he got the year that Mixon was hurt in Cincinnati, or not hurt in Cincinnati, I would assume.
Yeah.
But it does sound like he's on the field for every single third down snap with the first team. So he's going to get his playing time, but I thought $8 was way too much for him.
Yeah, when you're paying $10 for Ronald Jones and you've got $8, I don't know what. And he's got Leonard Fournette on the same team, so. At $5, and Leonard Fournette, I feel like is going to get more playing time than Giovanni Bernard. Why are you paying $3 more for Bernard? And then the only other one that I didn't like was just Devin Singletary. And that's just, I think, there's no good running back in Buffalo. I mean, they might be talented as a football player, but fantasy-wise, it's never going to work out for.
I mean, I don't love Devin Singletary, but for $5,
$5 is a good risk though. Like, you know, like if somebody comes, you know, like I know like injuries can happen and stuff, and I think that's what got him like before, but like you just don't know. And I think, you know, especially $5, like that's if they nail it out of the park.
Yeah, it's not bad value, but just you know, with the amount of mouths to feed there, and Josh Allen taking probably most of the goal line runs, I don't.
Son of a bitch. It's son of a bitch.
Yeah. But I thought Marquise Brown, I mean, and they don't have a lot of players to throw to there besides Mark Andrews. So,
I mean,
for $1, I think it could be really good as far as breakout.
I think Marquise Brown, I don't know that we're ever going to see much more than what we've already seen. He's you know. Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah.
I think he might be, he is what he is. All right, let's move on. Next team on the list, I'm going to let Peter start this one. This is the San Diego Web Surfers, team that Peter touted as one of his favorite teams in the league. Josh went ahead and kept 2 running backs, Swift and Montgomery. Swift, little bit of injury concern to start the season, but it does look like he'll be ready. Peter, what did you like? What did you dislike? Where are you at?
I think his team is stacked. I think MVS for $1 is a steal. I'm, you know, as a Packer homer myself, this last dance type thing, and that guy has some weird, I don't know the official stat, but some weird like yards per catch that's just through the roof, and having, you know, Randall Cobb and Amari Rodgers underneath, I think there's big play potential. And so for like $1, he might have a wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3 at that point with that guy and Devontae drawing double teams. So that, I thought that was awesome. And for worst value, I said NA, not available. I really like this team a lot, and especially after the trade. So the trade really ties it together. I think his boom player is Javonte Williams for Denver. I think he could be really good for 14. I think it was $14. I don't have that.
Yeah, that's correct.
But I thought that was really good. So, Josh is getting my praise completely. I really like this team.
John?
Yeah, I mean, post-trade, his team's looking very nice. And I think the Kyle Pitts there is great value if he pans out. To be honest, I thought, his 2 keepers were great for the value that he got him at. And then DeAndre Hopkins at 38, I thought was like right there on good value. But it really adds to his team with his 2 good running back keepers. And then I thought Javonte Williams, again, you know, like he could be the starting running back there by week 3 or 4, although Melvin Gordon has had a strong preseason, so we'll see. But long term, I think Javonte Williams was a great pickup at 14. And then my breakout candidate there, which pains me to say, as holding the counterpart to him, is Bryan Edwards. I think he could have a great season, and if he overtakes Ruggs as wide receiver 1 in Vegas, I think he could have a bona fide wide receiver 2 there on his hands to pair with DeAndre Hopkins.
I think those are all pretty. You know, I like the Javonte Williams. I circled that as a value pick that I liked, although I think it's kind of right on target for what you should pay for him. The Valdez-Scantling for $1 I like as well. I like Russell Gage as well for $1. I think, you know, I think that's a good pick. I think he's going to get some usage. Here's my, and I'll keep this brief. Here's my thing about Kyle Pitts, and maybe I might be totally wrong on this, but $20 for a rookie tight end, on a team with a 37-year-old quarterback. Is that, how old is Matt Ryan now?
That sounds about right.
I just don't, I get he's the 4th pick in the draft. People are excited about him. I just was out on that immediately. I can't justify what he's going for. It just doesn't seem correct to me. That much money on a rookie tight end. Tight ends who notoriously, there is no rookie tight end that's popped. It just doesn't happen. It's a position that takes people a long time to get used to playing. You know, look at TJ Hawkinson of late. This is his, you know, he was another guy that was highly touted coming out of college. This is the first year he's really getting some buzz. So I just don't understand the Kyle Pitts stuff. If I were Josh, and the only reason I didn't say this to Josh is because I would have rather had Kelsey. But if I were Josh, I would have tried to move Pitts instead of Kelsey. But alas, I do like Josh's team. I think he's got a pretty sweet team.
Yeah, I do. I definitely agree. I mean, Matt Ryan has in the past supported, you know, top 3 tight ends, right? So it's not a position that that Matt Ryan is afraid to throw to or unfamiliar, at least. So I think there is potential there, but yes, that timing that is required for the tight end position, it takes a while, and I don't think that's going to happen, you know, in just training camp. And even with, like you mentioned, Hawkinson there, you know, he's going from Stafford to Goff now, and so I think that takes a bit. But yeah, I agree with you there. Russell Gage was also a good call out.
Okay, let's.
Oh, I'd also be remiss in saying 68 for CMC. If CMC is healthy the whole time, $68 well spent.
Indeed,
I think
agree.
that could be $10 cheaper than he should have gone for.
All right, let's move on. Alec's team is next. Alec, there it is. Okay, so Alec kept Derrick Henry for $57. Peter, why don't you give us your picks?
Josh Jacobs as my best value. I think he will get the rock there a ton. And so for a starting running back, I think that could be good. I thought the rest of his roster did pretty good value for a lot of good guys. I just thought that was solid. And then I said Josh Jacobs is my breakout guy for his team as well.
Nice. Yeah, I like I like Josh Jacobs as a guy that could have a better year than his value or what he paid for him. Juju was my least favorite pick, just because I can't I can't do Juju.
You had him last year, right? Did you have him last year?
No, I didn't have him.
Oh,
no. I just, there are so many weapons in that Pittsburgh offense. And I just get the sense that Juju is the type of receiver that's going to kind of fade into the background with all those other weapons. And then you know, I guess that's where I'm at. But John, what do you think?
Yeah. So I thought, I mean, when I circle best value, Pat Mahomes for 33 when he paid 50 last year. I think 33 is a great price for Pat Mahomes, which I thought, you know, makes for $17 less this year. I think that's huge. And so great value there, you know, which just then goes into the next being bad value. Why are you paying $7 for Matthew Stafford? I mean, he's going to be great. And I think, you know, honestly, he could be a breakout candidate, but he'll be on his bench unless he trades him. So, which is unfortunate. Why pay $7? Then $9 for Juju. It seems a little much, just in terms of the mouths to feed there. Breakout candidate, I think Allen Robinson has a chance to be a top 8 wide receiver. And so I'm not in terms of value or anything, but I think in terms of a breakout candidate, I think Allen Robinson is right up there.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think Allen Robinson will be good, but that $31 kind of already portrays a top 10, wide receiver.
For sure. But I don't know if the belief is out there for a lot of players. And then spending $19 for Logan Thomas and Zach Ertz combined, that's also a little rough looking at that. If you got Logan Thomas, why get Zach Ertz?
Agreed. All right, let's move on. Next team here, the Average Peters, the alpha rival. So what not, you know what I mean.
Not the official rival, but
not the official rival.
Yeah,
he's more of a friend of the what's our new division name, by the way? That was in the chat. What is it? Whatever that.
No. You're
not renaming your division.
You're not the Peter Tom Willis division.
Peter Tom Willis.
That article, by the way, was rough. And if we had more time here, we're already at an hour. I would go into that article, but it was a rough read. Peter kept T. Higgins and Terry McLaurin. As far as what I'm thinking for his good picks, is his nice value picks. I thought the Kareem Hunt for $14 is a good deal. I thought OBJ for $11 also a good deal. Two guys with high upside in that offense that could both have big years. If I'm looking at bad value, there's only really one place to look, and it's just the combined amount of money that he spent on quarterbacks. I can't figure it out. So, 20, what is it? It's
$41.
$41 on across 3 quarterbacks, including, Russell Wilson and Lamar Jackson. So that one just kind of baffled me. And maybe it's trade bait, but quarterbacks are hard to trade. It's hard. It's hard to recoup. People. I think it's hard to value them. So it's especially quarterbacks that good. Russell Wilson.
I agree.
Lamar Jackson. Bill was in the same boat last year. Bill had Russell Wilson and Josh Allen the entire year. He couldn't move them. So I don't know what you do, but that's my take.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, that's what I highlighted was $41, especially when 3 of those dollars is Joe Burrow, someone he had on his team last year, was thinking of keeping. He nominated him in the 3rd pick of the draft of the auction, got his guy for $3 in the 3rd pick, and then turns around on the 22nd and 25th pick, getting Russell and Lamar, which I didn't quite understand there. Just committing.
I understand getting one of them. Why not? Joe Burrow for $3, you might as well go after. I don't think Joe Burrow is a top 12 quarterback right now. Maybe he becomes one, but you might as well go after a better one. But 2 of them, Peter.
Yeah, and then my other good value though, I thought Saquon at 45. If that works out, I think he's getting a potentially a top 5 running back. Najee Harris at 45. People were running that up quite a bit. To spend the same on Harris and Barkley, $90 is a bit, but he had a lot of extra money to spend there. And then my best value and breakout. Johnny Smith, especially with Mac Jones coming in, which, he's not Cam, who's not going to run it. Is probably going to lean pretty heavily on his tight ends. And it sounds like Bill Belichick really liked him. He was the first guy Bill Belichick signed in the offseason. So to get Johnny for $4, I think could be really good.
Peter?
And then for me, Barkley at 45, I think was a steal. I was, some of these for all the teams that were drafting that needed running backs, like I was really surprised at obviously top talent like CMC goes really high, but I was surprised Barkley didn't go higher. I was surprised Elliott didn't go higher.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I was like, there was a lot of that. And then, Eckler's in that price range, or Mixon. I can't remember what Mixon went for, 32?
38.
38. So you're not far off. And so, the draft is always hindsight. But I thought Barkley at 45, I think that dude is a monster, and he's got tree trunk thighs, and he's ready to run through a lot of people. And the Giants don't have stars. So I think he's going to really shine this year. So I thought that was really good. We all saw why the Harris pick for the Steelers, right, went for 45 because everybody was bidding on him. I think he might be the real deal in Pittsburgh and fit that well. But at $45 is a big risk, but I think he could nail 2 running backs that he might give 3 years extensions to on, for $50. These guys have potential to be massive players as, number 1 running backs, like true blue number 1. So I like those picks a lot. And then breakout is Harris because I think he could blow up.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, the Harris one I like as well. I mean, Pittsburgh traditionally a one-back team that runs the ball a lot. So, all right, it's El Bambolero's revenge this year. So rough start for Fitz. J.K. Dobbins goes down. He kept him and Chris Carson. Peter, why don't you start us off here? What were you thinking?
Marquez Callaway, I think at $4 is boomer bust type stuff. I really wanted him a lot, and it came towards the end where I was like, I only have like $7 to spend, and I don't know how to spend it. I think he might have a wide receiver 1 there. I think Mike's favorite player, Michael Thomas. For the rest of eternity, I'm going to always associate Michael Thomas with you, Mike, just because it's funny. But I think he's going to take over as number 1A. So I wanted him. I just didn't have the funds to do it. And then I thought Antonio Brown is a reach because that team is stacked at wideout, and that guy is batshit fucking crazy. So he's going to probably get suspended at some point. And then breakout, I said, what did I say for him? I said DJ Moore, I think, was good value too. I think he's going to blow up. And then Cal.
Interesting. Yeah, I had the opposite.
The Rashad Penny pickup with him having Chris Carson is really good.
Yeah. Penny's also been named in a few trade rumors. So we'll see on that. DJ Moore, I had kind of the opposite take. I'm not very high on him, especially with Robbie Anderson there. But and CMC being healthy, I think it's just it's just mouths to feed. I mean, wide receiver 2, the third option on a team that Sam Darnold is piloting. I don't know if I would go for that, but I'm the 12th team in the league, so. Marquez Callaway though was also my breakout candidate and best value. I think that was a great move on his part. And then he traded away Juwan Johnson. And then my other breakout candidate, Sony Michelle. I mean, if Henderson goes down, Sony Michelle's looking at a lot of work, and he is talented. It's just we'll see if he was used to his fullest potential in New England. If he wasn't, then for $2, that's you're looking at a solid RB2 potentially. So
yeah, I thought I don't mind the DJ Moore. I'm not a huge DJ Moore fan, but I think for $15 it's fine. The Marquez Callaway, to get him for $4. So I like Marquez Callaway. I don't know that I buy into the hype that is coming around him. I mean, he is shooting up these ADP charts. So it's hard to buy into the hype that fast. But to get him for $4, I thought was pretty good. I like the Gronk for $1. I think Gronk's going to be, a pretty decent tight end and get his numbers. So,
Agreed.
I'll just leave it there. I'll leave it there. All right. Let's move on. We've got 2 teams left, the 2 worst teams in the league last year. We'll start with my team. We'll save the worst for last. We'll start with my team, the Decatur Staleys. I kept 3 wide receivers, Brandon Ayuk, Deontay Johnson, and Keenan Allen. John or
I'll
Peter,
jump in.
whoever
Yeah.
wants to go first.
Yeah, Peter went dark, so I'll jump in real quick. I thought you had a great draft. Looking at your team, obviously Gus Edwards for $7 now, phenomenal. So obviously you didn't know it at the time, but 3 other people that I identified as best value is Brandon Ayuk for 11.
But I kept him.
Oh, you kept him. Okay. Well, still good keeper. Good keeper.
Okay, thanks.
Michael Pittman then for 8, especially with T.Y. Hilton going down. I think he was the better receiver anyway at this point. Huge potential keeper there. And then honestly, Clyde Edwards-Helaire for 33. I think people were disappointed in him last year only because they were drafting him at the end of the first and early second, which is a lot. I mean, that's a huge bar to overcome there when you have someone like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce to compete with and getting injured. If he was drafted in the 3rd or 4th round last year, I think people would have been pretty happy with his production. So to get him at $33, you're looking at a top 8 running back, in my opinion, there, if he stays healthy. And then I thought $43 for Austin Eckler was a lot of money. I think there was a number of running backs that came off the board in the top 10 picks of the auction. And when it got to Eckler, I think people were bidding pretty high and you just had to pay that money. So otherwise, my breakout candidate would be Jalen Hurts for $7. I think with his running potential, you're looking at great value there.
Peter?
I thought your running back picks were good value for what they were. I liked your Eckler pick for the value at that. I thought the other ones were lower. But I thought Edwards-Helaire is my top pick. And then I wanted Sermon. But I don't know, that's the hard part. And there's a certain level of boomer bust when running backs get drafted 1st, 2nd, 3rd round is they could become Alvin Kamara. They could become, these top running backs that you see, right? Or they could be bust, and it's boomer bust. And so that's one of those boomer bust ones where it could be amazing value, but unless you're keeping them, I think if he booms, it's worth it. If it's not worth it this year. And you'll be like, damn, I wish I could have spent that somewhere else. But I think 18 is pretty good for him. And I think Jalen Hurts could be big. My biggest concern with the Eagles, and this is what I don't get with their rosters, they have Carson Wentz, right? They bring Nick Foles back. There's certain things that they do that makes you sort of weirded out by what they do. And so them trading for Gardner Minshew is weird to me because I was all in on Jalen Hurts too, but that's weird to me. I don't think it's a cause of concern unless they actually make a change, but Jalen Hurts has running potential. And I thought he did awesome last year, which is why I'm surprised that they traded a 6th round pick at all. But who knows? And, and that might play into Charlie and Peter drafting all these quarterbacks being hey, give me a wide receiver or a running back when, if these guys don't do well. But
I actually really liked all your stuff, and I thought you got great value at running back when you didn't have any keepers at running back.
So I agree. Trey Sermon is, I put as my worst value pick. I got caught up in that bidding war and just I couldn't stop. Couldn't stop myself. Was pretty irritated.
Even when you made the pick, you were like, that's not what I wanted to do. Like literally right after it went through, you're like, whoops.
What was I doing?
Yeah, like, you're just like, you see disappointment. I'm like, what's going on here?
I thought best value, Michael Pittman, and actually I had him last year, but I think Michael Gallup is good value at $3 this year. That's going down last year, kind of sunk his value, and so that was one I was happy to get at that. I think Gallup's pretty talented. And then Chenault at $11. That was a guy I actually like semi-considered keeping. And to get him at the price that I would have had to keep him for, I was pretty thrilled about that. All right. Last team, John Rose, the Rose City Destroyers. John kept Alvin Kamara and CD Lamb. I'll go first. George Kittle, I think $30 for Kittle is, I mean, great value for a top tier tight end that might, be the tight end number one by the end of the year. I also really liked, I gave you a little bit of shit at the time, but I think Ezekiel Elliott for 44 isn't bad at all. Zeke has, been steadily declining every year. His stats, some of the carry stats and the yards per carry and stuff like that have gone down every year. And he had a bad year last year. But if there's ever a year for a bounce back, another year with those three wide receivers together, Dak coming back, I think plenty of reason to be optimistic.
O-line healthy too.
Yes, indeed. And what was the other one? Oh, worst pick. I actually kind of liked, most of your picks. I didn't have a huge issue glaring with any of them. You spent all your money on big name guys, and the rest of your picks are like $3, $4, actually like $4. The most was $5, I guess. So if I had to pick one, and this is really nitpicking at this point, I guess I'd say Latavius Murray, just because by all accounts it sounds like Latavius isn't looking great.
Yeah.
I don't know, but to have him be your, well, I guess he's kind of tied for your RB3 with David Johnson, but yeah.
He was definitely just a handcuff pick, and I didn't research enough understanding who the actual potential handcuff would be.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm hoping he gets traded to something like Atlanta or something, but
we shall see. Peter?
The analysis we've been waiting all episode for. Okay. This is my opinion.
Boy.
Ezekiel Elliott, 44, game changer. I was sitting next to him during the draft, and I was like, I can't believe that just happened. When we take a look at it, I was like, I only have $50 and I can't bid on these people. Like seeing Pete and John get, Barkley and Elliott. Like I know this could blow up in my face, but every single auction draft you're looking at is over $50 easily for these guys. And so I was really surprised by that. His breakout player, I really like the Devontae Parker pick. I think that's one of those, I can't think of a comparative wide receiver that gets receptions and gets targets and doesn't get the credit he deserved. John, how much did you even pay for him?
$2.
You're talking about who else is there? It's Waddle and Parker, right? Who else?
who's the wide receiver too.
Gesicki would be the only other person stealing receptions. But.
And like the one thing, I just think Devontae Parker gets receptions. So I really like that. That's my breakout guy and my least value pick. So John's starting roster is phenomenal, right? But my least valued pick is Kirk Cousins. I don't even know. He sucks. He's an anti-vaxxer. He's an idiot when he talks. He doesn't swear. So like when he does like do stuff that's like, get people pumped up. All right, freak yeah, like it just doesn't have that same value. I think he sucks. Not just because he's a Viking quarterback. I just think he sucks. And it'll be interesting. I think you can get. And I sat next to you, and there was guys going that I thought you could have taken, and it was funny. But I was like, John, take this guy, take this guy, take this guy, and you're like, what's going on?
I mean, just like even like Matt Ryan going for $6. I was like, I'm not gonna pay $7 for Matt fucking Ryan. I mean, it's like fine, he's a good player, but like there are these players that are just quarterbacks are going off the board at ridiculous prices, and we've gone over that this draft already or this podcast already. At the amount of money being spent, like I couldn't do it, and ending up with, I mean, I already dropped Derek Carr, but ending up with Kirk Cousins for $1. I mean, it is what it is.
I think that was the wrong move. I think you should drop Kirk Cousins. I would have kept Derek Carr.
I mean, he'll be on the waivers. I'll be able to pick him up.
I might pick up Derek Carr.
I mean, that's fine if Cousins goes down because of COVID or whatever reason. But I mean, I do think like he's supporting Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. I think he'll put up enough points. My breakout candidates, though, you guys covered my best and worst values. My breakout candidates are Darnell Mooney and Ruggs. I think Ruggs has potential to be a solid wide receiver too. But we'll see. I mean, but pairing him behind Tyreek Hill, I think could be really good. So
I like Mooney a lot too. I mean, the reality is that if Kirk Cousins blows up and does really well, I'm going to be eating my words, and the rest of your roster is superb at the top.
Thank you.
All right. We are going to end it there. This has been a extra edition of the RTF show at an hour and about 25 minutes. So everybody's probably long since turned this off or just fast forwarded to their team. But thank you to the Alpha Peter for hopping on. Alpha Peter, owner and operator of the Alpha Peters.
It's not the Alpha Peters.
Doesn't make any sense.
What?
Man.
It's what? It's not? It's not?
I know he does it on purpose at this point because, as the champ and I hope everybody realizes when I do talk shit about being the champ, it's to try to invigorate some challenge in this league because,
No, it's not, Peter. It's just because you're a dick. You're a
gloating.
Dick. You're the heel.
I look forward to facing
you are the
Josh
heel.
in the championship. I really do look forward to facing Josh in the championship with that.
It's like, Peter, is there in wrestling, is there like Ken is obviously the known heel, like he's like the obvious heel. Are you like, is there a term for like a sneaky, like
this
subtle
would be
heel?
The heel turn, like a heel turn, right?
It's one of those deals where in professional wrestling, like they call them, heel face sometimes. Like they play the face sometimes. So face is like a hero, the top dog kind of a deal that you cheer for. They call them tweeners. It's like, hey, is he a face? Is he a heel? No, he's a tweener. So sometimes you go back and forth.
Okay.
Ken would be a great wrestling manager. He would be a great professional wrestling manager.
All right. We've talked enough about Ken this episode. I'm done.
Let's talk about Ken's team. We need to talk more about Ken's team. I like his players.
Just to let Ken know, I did keep track of how long we talked about every team. We talked about his team for 8 minutes and 48 seconds. No other team cracked more than 7 minutes. So congratulations, Ken. All right. That has been the RTF show. Good luck out there. We will be back to you probably not until week 1. is over.
Yeah.
So
Seems fair.
we will probably be off next week for Labor Day and then come back to you week 1 to wrap up the start of the season or review the start of the season. For Brother John, Peter Kramer, this has been the RTF Show. Thanks for tuning in.
Adios.